The Supreme Court in Bangladesh has drastically scaled back a quota system for government jobs that sparked weeks of unrest and led to dozens of deaths. Previously, about 30% of jobs were set aside for the families of veterans who fought in the country's War of Independence. It's not yet clear how the demonstrators will react to the new ruling, which reduces that quota to just 5%.
The students had been relentless in their demands. They had been protesting for weeks against job quotas that blocked more than half of the government jobs for them. The students had called this distribution discriminatory. But now the country's top court has given a ruling that almost scraps the current quota system. Now 93% of the civil service jobs are open for graduating students. But this decision has come at a huge cost. The initial protests against the High Court ruling that reinstated the quota system were mostly peaceful. But rights groups say in the last couple of days, a hard crackdown by police and other armed forces turned the protests into deadly riots. Violence led to the death of more than 100 people, mostly students.
They are firing openly. 3 of the protesters are already dead. A bullet hit the head of another one. I just brought him to the hospital. You see, there are bloodstains on my hand.
Hospitals were filled with thousands of students. The killings of so many people have left many devastated.
Why are there so many dead bodies? Oh Allah, forgive me. What country do we live in?
The government say the killings will be investigated. And now, even though the main demand of the protesters has been recognized by the country's top court, the students say they will not stop protesting till they get justice for those killed.
We're joined now by Tasneem Khalil. He is a Bangladeshi journalist who lives in exile in Malmö, Sweden, from where he's joining us. Thanks for coming on. Tasneem, does this scaling back of the reintroduction of the quota mean that the protests will end?
No, Melissa, not at all. This whole crisis has moved beyond the demand for reforms in quota in government jobs. Right now, the protesters have vowed to go forward and continue their street agitations, their movement, and they are demanding justice for those that have been killed in indiscriminate police firing and attacks by the ruling party.
I'm just curious, why did this even come up with the idea of introducing such a quota in the first place?
Well, there are some historical context to it, which is pretty long. I'm not going to go into that. But the quota system in Bangladesh, specifically the one where government jobs, cushy government jobs are actually handed out to the descendants, children and grandchildren of people who fought in the liberation war of Bangladesh, that over the years became a tool at the hands of the ruling Awami League for maintain a patronage network. It's just by, they want to sponsor and reward the cronies that are loyal to the ruling party. And that is exactly why the students, the general students, are actually calling this out and saying this is absolutely discriminatory and this is not acceptable in a democratic modern society.
So what impact might this decision have on the country politically, particularly on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina?
Melissa, what has happened over the past few days is that a government has declared a war against its own people. And we have seen, now we have seen footages of indiscriminate shelling and firing from helicopters, for example. What happens in war zones? I really don't think that Sheikh Hasina's government has the legitimacy to continue the way it has been continuing for the last 15 years. It is very hard to speculate what's going to happen next. But I, as a political analyst, as a journalist, I don't see how Sheikh Hasina can survive this crisis as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh and continue ruling the country.
Tasneem Khalil, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.